Should we name and shame GPs? GP practice could be named and shamed as new league tables are set to show these surgeries offering the least number of face-to-face appointments. The move was announced last year, but today is the first day that patients are able to judge their local practice, but the threat of naming and shaming may have actually worked, as today figures have been released showing that GPs in England carried out record numbers of appointments this October. There we go. And more than 70% of people were seen face-to-face, which is the highest proportion since the pandemic. Bharat Pankania, Senior Clinical Lecturer at the University of Exeter Medical School, joins me right now. Bharat, there you go, a little bit of cajoling, the threat of naming and shaming, and GPs pull the finger out.
No, it's just having a go at GPs whilst the system has failed the GPs. Now, let me emphasize, primary care, that's general practice, provides exceedingly good value for the National Health Service. The big problem is we just do not have enough GPs, and this is the matter that needs to be addressed. We have got GPs leaving. You will tell me that a lot of GPs are being trained. The trouble is they're being trained, but they're not going into general practice. In fact, I'm one of those examples. I am a trained GP, but I'm now practicing as an infectious disease expert. So those are the issues, not enough GPs to deliver really good value for the National Health Service.
OK, all right, but there are many that are really quite shocking when it comes to these figures, actually. Just 1 in 8 GP appointments are carried out face-to-face at England's worst-performing practices. The government's first-ever league table, it shows that 12% of consultations were in person in October at some practices in London. And by any stretch of the imagination, that's shocking. It can't all be systemic, can it?
Well, the other problem also is in some deprived areas, especially deprived areas, the demand far outstrips the supply of general practice. There are cultural issues, there are some extra demands on GPs in some places, and there are just not enough GPs wishing to work in those areas. This is nothing new, Patrick. I remember I was a GP in the South Wales area, and in those days it was very unpopular area to recruit GPs. Not so now, but in my time it was really difficult for GPs to relocate there.
Is there any truth to the fact, Dr. Bharat, that once GPs start working loads of overtime, they go into the higher tax bracket and they get taxed at, frankly, quite an astonishing rate, and so it, frankly, is not worth their while to work overtime?
This is also another issue with regards to bringing back.
Oh, OK. Well, I'll tell you what, it doesn't matter. I'll discuss this one, because, actually, I've got to be honest with you, this is a point, and brace yourselves, people, this is a point where I actually have some sympathy with the GPs. Because, yes, all right, it's a vocation in a sense, but it is also a very important job. And this can't be lost in all of the kind of bashing that I've been doing here, because fundamentally, I am on the side of patients. I absolutely am. I know people personally who were misdiagnosed over Zoom, and thankfully that didn't end up being as serious as it could have been. But there will be people up and down the country right now, probably people watching this, people that you know, who will have been told that something was just eczema and it turned out it was cancer. And this has happened rather too often for my liking. So I am on the side of patients. It's the same position that I had when it comes to the nurses' strikes. Sympathy for nurses, wonderful job. I've never saved a life, and frankly, if your life was in danger, you would not want this running your way. But at the same time, if patients suffer, well, I'm sorry, there's more patients than people who work in the NHS, and I will always be on the side of the patients. But you have to incentivise people to do it. And if GPs know, they've probably got families, they've probably got normal lives outside of their practice, if they know that if they start putting in an extra, we're talking now a shed load of hours, and they see, I don't know, maybe about 20% of that reflected in their salary, then it does beg the question, where is the incentive to do it? Yes, you could argue they should just care enough to do it. But at what point do you go, well, hang on a minute, if you keep walloping them dead high with all of these tax brackets, then, like people in any job, you would start to question why you are doing so much overtime.